Hello and welcome to Baking on a Budget. Now this time we're going to be making this Banoffee Pie, an absolutely classic dessert, comes together very easily, always delicious. Now we have everything we'll need to make it over here. I'm going to run through the exact quantities of that and tell you how much all of this cost. To begin with, we have 200 grams of digestive biscuits. Digestive biscuits, you could use crackers or any type of biscuit which you desire really. But here I have 200 grams of digestive biscuits and that cost me 35 pence. Now butter, we're going to use a total of 165 grams of butter, which will cost £1.33. We have 2 bananas at 31 pence. We have 75 grams of brown sugar at 27 pence. We have 1 tin of condensed milk at £1, and we'll have about 150 ml of double cream at 57 pence. The total cost of this recipe comes out at £3.83, and we're going to get 8 slices out of that, so that makes it 47 pence per slice. And the first thing we want to do is make the biscuit base for this, so let's get straight onto that. And the first thing we want for that is to melt this butter. Now I'm using 90 grams of the butter that we've got here for this biscuit base. The rest of it we'll use in the caramel itself. But first of all, I just want to chop those up, get them in the pan, and we'll get the pan on some heat. Right, I'm just going to put that on the hob and then we'll get on to the biscuits. And for the biscuit base, we got the 200 grams of biscuits, digestives in this case, and put them in this polythene bag, close it up, and then I'm just going to crush those with the rolling pin. Now you could do this in a food processor if you have one, but I don't really use one, so the rolling pin will do. And we want to get this down to a nice fine crumb. That texture there will do just fine. Now I'm going to make the banoffee pie in this loose bottomed cake tin. Could do it in a flan tin, many different ways you could do this, but I'm going to use this today. This is 20 centimetre, and I'm going to line this first, just so that we can get the pie out nice and easily once it has set. Now to do that, I'm going to take this piece of greaseproof paper and fold it into quarters, that way and that way. Right, we'll take the bottom of the tin and place that sort of centrally on the tin like that, and then we just want to cut around that. There it is, and that should cover the bottom of the tin like so. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of lard on that just to help keep the paper flat. I'll put that in there. Looks good. And I also have these thinner pieces to line the walls of the tin with also. So again, just put a little bit of lard around there just to hold the paper, really, that's all this is for. That's it, and the tin looks like that. Okay, the butter has melted nicely, so we want to get the biscuit crumb into the butter. And all we want to do here is mix that in and make sure that we get all of this biscuit crumb coated with the butter. And this will make a beautiful crisp base for the banoffee pie. Next step, we now just want to get all of this into the bottom of the tin. Make sure we get all of that out. And the next thing, we want to spread this out, and I'm going to put a wall on this, a shoulder if you will. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can just do it with the back of the spoon like this, or another option, we have a glass and we can push that down with a glass and then just firm that up against the side of the tin with the glass. I actually prefer both. I'll just get it half sorted out first with the spoon, and then I'll bring the glass in to firm it up. But that will be fine. Right, so we just want to press that down and then press it into the wall right the way around. That being that, this is now going to go into the fridge to set, and whilst it's setting, we'll get on to the next phase of this. And to make the caramel, what I'm going to do is cut the rest of this butter. This was another 75 grams of butter, which I'm going to cut and put into the pan. And to that we've got the 75 grams of brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar here. This is just what I had. You could use dark brown sugar if you wished, and that would give your caramel a little bit of a darker coloration to it. Okay, now this is going on the hob. Right, so we've got this over low heat on the hob, and what we want to do is just get these melted and combined together. And after a short while, the mixture has come together, butter's pretty much melted into the sugar, and we have the beginnings of the caramel there. Now to that I'm going to add this sweetened condensed milk, and in this can here there is 397 grams of it. I'm only going to use 300. This will work out better with the size of the tin we're using for this. But of course this can then be used, I may have this just over some peaches, actually some tinned peaches. I'll use the rest of this, and I'm sure that will be very nice. Right, so we've got that in there. As I say, that's about 3/4 of the tin. I'm going to combine this, I'm going to stir it together, and then I'm going to get it back over the heat. Now the thing with this is it can burn very easily. The last time I made this I did get a little bit of burn. Nothing to worry about too much, so long as it, you know, so long as it isn't sticking to the bottom of the pan. But the way to remedy that anyhow is to keep it moving and to keep the heat at a moderate level. If the heat gets too much, then it will start to stick and burn. So I'm just going to continue doing this until this has thickened up somewhat, and then I'll come back and show you the consistency of it. It'll probably take about 3 minutes. Okay, I've been mixing and stirring this for about 3 minutes now, and I think you can see that's getting much thicker. I'm going to give that just a few more seconds on here, and definitely keep it moving all of the time. It will thicken, and then it will be ready to get into our banoffee pie. It's beautiful, actually smells like butterscotch, you know, because I'm using a demerara sugar here with this. As I say, you could use a dark brown sugar, any type of sugar you want, really. But this is, it's got the smell of butterscotch. This is going to be beautiful. Right, that will do for me. I'm going to take that off the heat, and I'm going to let it cool. Okay, we've got the base back out of the fridge, and that is set nicely. And we've got the caramel here, which, as you can see, having cooled, has thickened up quite a bit. So we're going to pour that caramel into that case. Beautiful. Let's get all of that out of the pan. There it is. And that will pretty much find its own level, I would think. Right, this is going to go back in the fridge for the caramel to set properly, and then the next phase of this. Okay, that's been in the fridge for about 2 hours. That caramel has set. It's still nice and soft, sticky, but it has set sufficiently to do the next stage of this. Now, what we want is the bananas. So I'll just set that aside over there. We'll take one of these bananas, and essentially all we want to do with this is slice it up. So, out of its skin, we'll just top and tail it. And I'm going to slice this into fairly thin slices, about 4 millimeters. I mean, you can have it however you wish, but this works out for me quite well. Banana chopped. All we want to do is start placing these slices on top of this beautiful caramel all the way around the pie. And I'm probably going to get away with 1.5 of these bananas. Can obviously double it up in places if there's a little gap, but I'll get this other one. And as I say, anywhere where there's a little gap through, we can just stick another piece on, and that, like that, is going to be spot on. Now I'll just cut the bottom off that banana, I'll stick that in the fridge, and I'll have it later. We have 150 ml of double cream in the jug, may need a little bit more, we'll see how that goes, and I'm just going to whisk this together to like a soft peak. That has thickened up nicely, and that will do me just fine. Okay, so with the cream done, I'm just going to spoon that out of there and spread it on top of the layer of bananas. This is going to be delicious. I think we'll get away with the 150 ml of cream with this. cover the whole top of that. And again, it's up to yourself how flat you get this cream. It's not that important for me, quite honestly. Get the last little scrapings out of the bowl, out of the jug. Look good. Touches, I have a little square of dark chocolate, and I have my potato peeler or vegetable peeler, and I'm just going to peel or scrape some of that chocolate on top of there. Again, optional, not necessary, but I think it just adds something to it aesthetically, and it'll give it that little bit of bitterness on top. Beautiful. Okay, Banoffee pie. Now I'm just going to put that back in the fridge for about half hour. Make sure everything's nicely set. Then we're going to cut into this, see what it looks like inside, and we're going to take a taste of it. Okay, let me show you this. Beautiful layer of caramel on there. It's just starting to ooze out. That's absolutely fantastic. We've got the layer of banana, we've got a nice heavy layer of cream on top, and this beautiful crisp base. That is looking like one good Banoffee pie to me. I'm going to taste it and let you know. Look at that caramel. Beautiful. Yes. That's marvellous. I mentioned before that looked a little like butterscotch. And it does taste like butterscotch also. It's absolutely fantastic. That is a great combination and a classic dessert, Banoffee pie. Dreamy. That's dreamy. Only thing to be careful of in the preparation of this is the making of the caramel. Very easy to burn it. So you just got to keep an eye on it and keep it moving and not have the heat too high, and it will turn out absolutely delicious. Maybe not the cheapest or least expensive dessert I've ever done, but 47 pence for a slice of this Banoffee pie is pretty good. So if you do like Banoffee pie, do give the recipe a try. It is absolutely delicious. And if you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos in the future, delicious homemade food, always on a budget, always very reasonable, please do consider subscribing to the channel. In the meantime, I'm going to finish this piece of absolutely delightful Banoffee pie, and I thank you very much for watching. Wow.